Hi everyone, delonewolf here. Welcome back to the Sunday recap, my weekly vlog where I talk a little bit about my last week in games. As always, we'll start with some EVE Online, and it has of course been the launch week for Into the Abyss in EVE Online, and I've been having fun, although I've also been taking my time when it comes to the abyssal content. I even found some extra time to do some exploration. I actually found 40 million in like a four system exploration run, a quick run there in the Jackdaw, so that was quite nice. But next to that, on the first day, I tried to find my own filament, so I ran a lot of data sites. Wasn't successful that way, but I did earn quite a bit of ISK running those data sites, and so I decided to buy my first filament, and on the first few days just run some tier 1s, couple of tier 2s with my sacrilege. That all went quite well, and it basically confirmed my suspicion that once you get into the abyss, you'll basically be able to sustain your filaments just by what you find from the loot drops there. Then I had a little bit of bad luck. Final room in a tier 2 dark filament was 2 Vitmax, and I was a little bit overconfident. Basically, I thought this is not going to be a problem. I just rushed right to those 2 Vitmax to try and do as much damage as possible and get towards that loot, which was a big mistake because I couldn't get away from them. Their damage kept ramping up, and eventually they just broke my tank even when I tried to overheat at the end. It was very, very close, and so running with my CC fit, where you also have a reactive armor hardener that basically improves your tank in the hole that the different abyssal filaments create, I would have easily gotten through that, but yeah, I was a little bit greedy, wanted more DPS, and I paid the price for that. I tried to at first go for another sacrilege. Those cost 600 million ISK at the time, so I went with a Gila as my second ship for Into the Abyss, and that's basically what I'm doing at the moment. Just, you know, keep exploring the abyssal content, but take my time doing so. I'm not really going to rush through this, do dozens of abyssal sites every single day or anything like that. I'm just going to do a couple every day to keep going, to try and up my skill books, try to find some interesting stuff there. But I think that there are basically 2 major dangers when it comes to the abyssal content that you know, that could turn players away from it. And the first one would be that you could burn out on that. You could really do so much of it that in the end you're not that interested anymore. And then the second part, I would say, is of course that the loss. It's hardcore when you do lose a ship and your bot, you know, I was stunned a little bit for a couple seconds. I was like, man, this just happened in the tier 2. Unbelievable. I did realize I was making mistakes, and so it was entirely my own fault, but that is also something that you have to keep in mind, and if you run dozens of them every single day, you keep trying to get to those higher tiers as well, eventually you are going to lose that ship, and it is possible that if you just went for 3 hours, that it's going to feel really bad at that point. So do try to pace yourself when it comes to abyssal Dead Space content, and hopefully it'll be successful enough, and that CCP will be able to iterate on that. Personally, I already have some really, I think, cool ideas potentially when it comes to like PvP abyssal sites, and then just focus that on tier 1 tech 1 ships, sorry, to bring that market back a little bit. I think that could be really cool, but only the future will tell. At the moment, we're just taking our time and trying to enjoy the new content in EVE Online. Next up, we have a little bit of World of Warcraft. I think I still played a fair amount of World of Warcraft. I actually had some fun in Battlegrounds with Vobo and Daegarn later in the week, because he's been going on holidays quite often, which, you know, you get to do that now if you want to play the expansion hardcore, so always take the opportunities to get away from the screen if you're planning for some hardcore stuff later on. But that's been quite fun. It is a lot of fun to run Battlegrounds with just a couple of friends, so that you're a little bit more coordinated than most other teams that you will encounter, and as a result we've been able to get some nice victories and just have a good amount of fun. I'm also still doing the emissaries every single day. Of course, you log in, basically find out what the emissary is. Now that I have flying, the ability to fly in Legion, it's really easy. Just fly towards the zone, go to 3 or 4 quests, Hearthstone back, get your rewards, and you're good to go. Something that I'm also doing every day is, of course, send my followers out for missions. I am focusing on gold there, and basically it's already been going for several weeks, but having like, I think it's 6 followers plus someone, Rhaegar, is always following me to earn me 90 extra gold for every world quest that I do. But the other 6, I send them on missions, and now I can basically reliably run all of those gold missions with 200% 200% completion chance, which gives you a 100% chance to get a bonus, which is like 1500 gold on all of them. So it's basically ramping up quite nicely at the moment, my gold earnings. I'm getting close to 200,000 gold, which is not that much. If you look at the new mount that has been announced, where you get like a massive dinosaur that has an auction house on its back, that's gonna be probably an extremely useful mount in that expansion, but it's gonna also cost you 5 million gold, so that is gonna be a little bit tricky to do. Still, when it comes to, you know, getting a little bit of a head start, being able to buy whatever you need from the vendors to make progress in the expansion, I think that we're doing quite well on that front, and that's really the focus for me. I'm basically in preparation mode, just relaxing, taking my time, saving my energy, so that once the expansion hits, I'll be able to put in a bit more effort and time and actually enjoy it, not feel like I'm burning out at that point. Next to that, I also found a little bit of time for Hearthstone, really not much. I usually did like maybe 1 attempt at a solo dungeon. The Trapper, really a lot of fun, that is something that I enjoy, and then the Time Tinker as well. But both of them, you basically want the first treasure to be the one related to your hero power. For the Trapper, it is the one that makes it cost 1 mana, and you can use it twice in a turn, which means that you can really keep spamming certain spells quite effectively. And for the Time Tinker, I feel like the most useful treasure is the one that gives the first spell that you use basically an echo, so it's done twice. I mean, it's a little bit dangerous on the damage spells because it can also hit yourself or your own minions, but there are some really useful mage spells that are like create something, for instance, like the summoning portal that creates a minion. Well, it does that twice if you use it first on the turn. Super powerful, and that really does make the Tinker very fun, because then you get so many RNG, so many different options, and you always have that second opportunity to do so with your hero power, and I do enjoy that. But I haven't played too much Hearthstone last week, just because I have finished all of those solo adventures at this point. I've managed to beat all the different challenges basically when it comes to that content, and I don't feel like starting to build a deck going into ranked or anything like that. It's gonna be just the solo dungeons, and from time to time I feel like just trying one for half an hour, but I really don't put in the hours anymore at this point for Hearthstone. It's still fun, but I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time or effort in that right now. And I do have a final game this week. It's probably something no one was expecting here, but I put Skyrim back on the hard drive, and I started a sneaky ranger, a sneaky archer. This time it's like the one combination that is super popular, but that I personally never got going. You could say I tried it a couple of times, but I felt, and I still feel, trying to get it going now, that it's the most difficult combination of powers to focus on, and actually just, you know, feel powerful throughout the game. I do feel a lot weaker than if I'm a summoner or if I'm a plate wearing warrior or something like that, and it makes it interesting, a little bit tricky, and that's basically the reason why I wanted to get started on that project as well. I've never done it, and so that is going to be something else that I'm working on. Not really as a major focus, just something that when I have a couple of hours and I'm not really sure what I want to do, I'll just jump into a little bit of Skyrim and work on my archer character. He's a wood elf as well, so he should have basically the right racial combinations needed for a sneaky archer, and it's been going decently well, but I've also died a couple of times. I really feel like that's a disadvantage if you don't get your first few bonus arrows into something like a bandit chief. He rushes you with a two-handed weapon. Well, you're not gonna last very long, and that's part of the challenge that I'm exploring at this point. But I do think that once you get to the more powerful talents in those trees, you will be able to do some really cool stuff with the archer, and so that's what I'm going for. I'm not even sure which quest line I might want to cover with him. At the moment, I'm not making videos on my progress there. I think at first I want to basically build an archer, then maybe choose a quest line. I would say probably the main quest line. It's been a very long time since I've actually done that one, and then we'll see if or not whether or not there's going to be a series on the archer in Skyrim, because there are some other things that are on the horizon though. Talking about Bethesda, we have a trailer for Fallout 76. Still not sure what it's gonna be about, but you know, online city building could be really cool, so I'm definitely keeping an eye on that, and on E3 in general. Who knows what comes out from that might pique my interest. And that was my week in games, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.